Right, okay. So
thanks so much, Buncey and Ash. Tell us about Suma.
Cool. Well, thank you for coming. I've never done a presentation like this before, and this wasn't my presentation to start with, so please bear with me if it's a bit janky. I'm really stoked to be working at Suma, and we just wanted to give you a brief overview of the business and hopefully show that it is possible for a business to be based on equality and still run successfully. So we are Suma. We're an independent wholesaler of vegetarian, organic and natural foods. We've got customers throughout the UK, and we did have a lot of customers around the world. Obviously Brexit has made everything very complicated for everybody, so we do still distribute around the world, but what them figures are now I'm unsure of. We are the largest worker-owned co-op in the UK, and we're the largest equal pay employer in Europe, which is amazing because I didn't even know these things existed about 3.5 years ago. So to be part of something so big is exciting. So the last year or two during the pandemic have obviously been wild for us and everybody else, but I started at Suma at the start of lockdown, so it's kind of just felt normal for me. I've not really known Suma any differently, but I know that a lot of people and businesses have struggled, but co-ops and people are super resilient. So during 2021, with about 330 workers, some of them are members and some of them are fixed term workers, we managed to sell around 7,000 different products and do about 60 million in sales. So as we're a wholesaler, most of the 7,000-ish lines that we sell are from other brands, but we do have 3 of our own brands, and that makes up around 25% of all of our sales. So we've got EcoLeaf, which is top left. So they're plant-based, sustainable, environmentally friendly cleaning products. We've got Alternative in the middle. That's ethical body care, zero waste shampoo bars, conditioner bars, more recently like facial bars, moisturising. We also do refill liquids, and there's no SLS or parabens. And then we've just got the general Suma food brand. So all the tin stuff you can see, we do like pastas. We've got a massive range of like bag down things, toilet paper. So just our own brand. So our vision as a business is based on the 5 things that you can see on the screen, and these all link to each other in some way. So business, we're fully vegetarian and we're a wholesaler and a workers co-op. So every decision that we make is based around them key things. Innovation, we're constantly looking for new products or ideas that are vegan, veggie, environmentally friendly, and this also includes looking at the way we work. Cooperation, so we live and work by the 7 cooperative principles, which I'm sure you're probably aware of, but we do get onto that in the next slide. Environment, this also links back to innovation. So we try to do business in a way that reduces our impact on the planet or even gives back to the planet. And people, so we want to have happy people, whether that's in the business and in the wider community. And as a business, we decide our own benefits and policies, which, like I said, would have blown my mind if someone had told me that back when I worked in graphics, that we would have a say about, you know, anything to do with our work or any policies or benefits or anything like that. So you've probably all seen the cooperative principles and aware of them, so I'll not speak too much about them, but just briefly on each point. So voluntary and open membership. The members of Suma are given an equal £1 share. Anyone can apply to be a member and has an equal chance. Most recently, we've been getting members from the pool of fixed term workers that we have, and previously it was open externally as well, but everyone would have been able to apply and had an equal chance at that. Democratic member control. So we've got a members council, and we also have general meetings and we have forums. Cooperation among cooperatives. So we've got the Solidarity Fund that we donate to. But I don't know if you know exactly how we do that, but I think it's
It's
a
a
pound
pound
for
per
every
week per worker. So
Yeah.
every week we'll be paying about £300+.
Yeah, so we donate to that. Also, we've had an IT co-op working on the new website. Autonomy and independence, so we're not reliant on any external stakeholders or any individual customers. Member economic participation, so we all pay £1 when we become a member. Then we have general meetings to discuss the business plans and so on. Concern for community, so we donate to food banks weekly, I think it is.
Yeah, I think it is.
And we have monthly local charity support, so we all vote on which charity we want to support that month, and we've got like a set amount of money that we donate every month to different charities of our choice. And then we also do environmental work like planting trees. And then finally, education, training and information. So we support a lot of people through training, MBAs, degrees, internal training for things, working in a warehouse, doing different roles. So a bit about the history of Suma. So we were founded in 1977, and previously on this presentation there was a lot of stuff about Thatcher and the war, but I was far off being born at that point, so it didn't feel right for me to talk about it. But it is amazing to think that 45 years later we're still going, and I can still be involved in that 45 years later. So the first warehouse we had was in Leeds on the Coals, and it had just 7 founding members. And we were part of a wider scene of radical co-ops, including Whole Foods, bookshops, cafes and housing. And we've been veggie right from day one as well. So we started off by selling mainly beans, lentils and whole foods. And we obviously still sell loads of that, but the veggie and vegan market has expanded massively since then. So we've got a whole big range, which is great because I don't think I could just survive on lentils like they were doing back then. So 10 years from when they started, they kind of grew rapidly, and they went from the 7 founding members to about 40+ members, and they had to move to a bigger space, which is Dean Clough in Halifax. Most of the people in this picture as well either still work here or retired recently, which is cool. I think it shows like how good it is to work for a cooperative business, that you get people spending their entire working lives in one place. And hopefully, you know, well, hopefully not 40 years from now I'll still be here, but hopefully till the end of my working career I'll still be here.
When was that picture taken?
That will have probably been like, I guess,
The early 90s.
Yeah, late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so I was probably being born around that picture being taken. And I've worked with some of these people, which is super cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so fast forward to now, we've gone from about 40 odd members from the picture on the last slide to about 250 members now. We've got 2 sites in Elland, so the one me and Buncey are in now is where our fridge is, and then we've got another one just down the road, which is the ambient warehouse, and then we've also got a distribution centre down in London. We've also got a fully vegetarian canteen where we all get a free cooked meal every day, no matter what shift you work on, which is super lovely. So this one looks pretty boring, but it's about our governance structure, which is important because it's what makes us different. It's like the way we work and what separates us from other businesses. So in the centre of it is the members. So we control everything. We've got a general meeting every quarter where all the members, or most of the members, get together to try and agree on a strategic decision. And then in between them, we also have like forums, polls and workshops. The member council have like an open forum every week where members can come and discuss things. So the next layer out is the members council. So they're elected by the members, and their job is to make sure that the members' views are heard and to also have an oversight on what the board is doing. And then on the outside of it all, we have the board. So these are also elected by the members. And this group of people take a lot of the legal responsibilities. So they oversee the strategic direction and make sure that we are following the plans that were agreed by the members. In the general meetings, we'll decide on the business plan, like as a whole, and then the board's job is to make sure that is what we're doing and that's the direction we're going in. So all the members at Suma do multiple different roles. It might be that some people do a lot of one role, but most people are multi-skilled and do multiple different things throughout the week. So this basically means that we all have an equal responsibility in the running of the business and the decision making. So, for example, I work in the warehouse, I do picking in the warehouse, I drive a reach truck, I work in the fridge, I train people in the fridge, I do sales, I also do Memco. So it is a bit hectic sometimes. But I think as humans, we need variety. And I think that's maybe one of the big reasons why people stay here till they retire, because they've got an opportunity to have, 10 different jobs with the same business. They can dip a toe into something, see if they're good at it. If they don't like it, they can try something else. And it just means that we've all got a really equal part to play in the running of the business. And then this is the last slide. So this kind of takes me in nicely to talking about my previous experience before coming to Suma. So at Suma, we are all paid exactly the same. So it doesn't matter what job you do. It doesn't matter how much responsibility you want to take on. You're all getting paid the same. So previously, before Suma, I was working in graphic design, doing artwork. And I knew that I was getting paid less than men doing the same job as me. And I'd kind of confronted them about it and they just didn't care. And that's when I ended up leaving and coming to Suma. So the fact that I can, if I don't want to take a lot of responsibility, I don't have to. And if I want to do more, the opportunity is there. I'm not doing it for the wrong reasons because I'm not getting any more pay. I think it really means that you get the right people for the roles because there's no other incentive to do it other than that you care. So yeah, that's a bit about my past. Buncey, do you want to talk about where you've come from?
Yeah, obviously not the same kind of background as you because I have a few more privileges being a white man. But my incentive to join Suma was through the equal responsibilities and equal pay and equal say kind of structure of it all. Because I came from working for a very big soulless corporate business where I was at the very bottom and I was paid the very least that they could get away with paying me. And yet I was expected to do a lot more work than everyone else above me, or pretty much so. And I would cause a lot of arguments with the managers and the line managers and the directors because I was still very young at the time and I just could not get my head around how there was hundreds of people working in this business, all in this hierarchy, who were happy to break their backs for the people above them, putting reports together for them people to then be paid more to present that report that they hadn't put into. And that inevitably lost me my job. I got sacked. And I remember leaving that job and thinking I have a choice here to either pursue, because this was in engineering, and I thought I can either pursue another career in engineering because that's what I'm interested in, or I could just pursue any role I could get for a business that I actually cared for and that I could get behind because they actually didn't have some sort of hierarchical structure that was out to destroy me. So that's why I came to Suma, and that's why I continue to care so much about Suma, because I like to maintain that and see us explore how to do that on such a large scale as a worker co-op.
And hopefully, when people, I just feel like not enough people know about co-ops or about how businesses like this are run and how they can be successful, really successful. I just think if the whole world could work like this, it'd be a much better place to live. I mean, I know that's unrealistic, but if we can spread the message about how it can work and that other businesses might be able to follow in our footsteps, there'd probably be a lot more happy people.
Definitely.
Does anybody have any questions for us? about that.
How did you hear about Suma? Because I think your reasons for joining seem just super obvious, but you have to have heard about it in the first place in order to make that choice, right?
Yeah, I think this is like one of our main problems, is that a lot of people don't know about us. So you find that a lot of people who walk here, they either are related to someone here or they're friends with someone here. So I found out about Suma through one of my friends who'd worked here for years, but because I'd done an art degree, and you're told that you have to have a career and you have to, you follow a certain path, and the idea of changing that at like 28 seemed a bit mental. So Zoe, my friend Zoe, had always told me about Suma, how much she loved it, and I never really took it on board about what the business was or what she was saying. And then it was only when I kind of saw how poisonous the industry that I was in was, that I was like, oh, what was Zoe saying? Like, no bosses, no gender pay gap, like, and it then just started clicking. And to be fair, I've been really lucky because I came in on a fixed term contract, and then just like worked really hard and like applied for membership, got it, kind of saw all the things I wanted to do, and I've just gone for them. But yeah, I think there's a lot of people working here because they're friends with someone. And I think a big discussion we're having at the moment is how we can reach out to different demographics and, not just our friends or families. Because I think a lot of people would probably tell you the same thing as what I just told you, that they potentially knew someone and that's how they ended up here. Buncey, how did you end up here?
Well, I was going to say, if you want to hear, I didn't think I could add to that, but if anyone wants to know. So I do break the norm a little bit, because I didn't find out about Suma through anyone who'd already worked here.
Oh my God.
I know, such an anomaly. But still, it was because my friend was a customer of Suma, and I used to volunteer in their shop selling the Suma goods. So you could argue that although I'm not from a friend or family who worked here, I do already kind of come from that, I won't say middle class, but that kind of demographic that Suma sells to. So I kind of still fit the same old Suma. But yeah, I found out about Suma because we worked in a very small, quite backwards old person's town, and we were the only vegan shop around. And they used to tell me, we only stock Suma products, and my friend who ran it would always tell me about how wonderful Suma was. And whenever Marcus came to do our deliveries and he'd leave, she'd be like, oh, you won't believe it, that man who was driving that truck was paid exactly as much as anyone else in our business is paid. And again, just kind of spouting all the successful things about being a worker co-op.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why when I lost my job, I was like, right, that's the first place I need to look, because they sound like they've got their shit together.
Yeah.
But there's something there, isn't there, about people not having to, but kind of just talk all the time about how great things are. Because there isn't the sort of ubiquitous presence or advertising for co-ops in general.
Yeah, like I didn't know really anything about co-ops until I started working at Suma. And it's a bit like, why do we not know? How do we let people know that there's another way? Because like I honestly don't think I never want to leave Suma. I don't think I could go and work for like a normal business now, because I've just seen how much better it can be. And yeah, co-ops do have their ups and downs, and there is things like trying to make decisions because we want everyone to have a say. When there's loads of people, that say goes on for a very long time, whereas in a normal business someone would make the decision for you and it's done. But rather that than, like Buncey said, you're working your ass off for someone who you don't even know at the top, for them to get all the cash and you have no say about anything. So I do feel like we need to somehow get the word out to not just our pals about cooperative businesses and how things can be different.
Yeah.
Mike, got anything?
Yes. Could you give some examples of the sorts of decisions that are made by the members council, and the board?
Yeah, so it's all decisions really. Like nothing can change or be put in place without it being agreed on by the membership. So it could be that we decide we want more holidays. You know, we've all come together, we want 100 holidays a year now. So we're all going to vote for it. And then we'll have like the general meetings. Anyone can bring something to a general meeting, a proposal. Yeah, and more importantly, like business planning, things like that. Everything that happens within the business is discussed and decided upon, voted on by the membership.
Okay, so you're saying it's very much at the general meetings, and then the other two groups kind of follow on from that.
Yeah, so there's things in between. We have the general meetings quarterly, but there is like forums. So every week, the members council meet and they have an open forum where anyone can come and discuss any issue. Yeah, there's loads of different things that happen in between that, and you don't have to wait until a general meeting to bring something up. But that's where a lot of the big decisions get made, is in the general meetings and then putting it into business plans.
Okay, and what's the sort of turnout to a general meeting?
Do you know this, Buncey?
It really varies on whether it's the annual one or whether it's just a general one.
Or if there's something controversial on the agenda.
Yeah, and controversial. We're always trying out different. We're quite fluid in the fact that our structures still remain quite the same, but we do try different things. So there was quite a lot of talk in the last year or two about whether GMs should be compulsory, and things like whether the AGM has to be compulsory, but whether GMs should be compulsory, whether they should be paid, because we used to pay everyone our equal wage, which is 16.24 an hour. Everyone would be paid 4 hours to attend a GM. So we review that and we see whether that's necessary. So what I'm getting to is it really depends. Sometimes it's not quora, because if the factors are all aligned, people like, it's a GM, they're not paying me this time, I can't be asked going. But then sometimes, like I say, there can be something really controversial on, you can pocket, what is it, 70 quid for attending. So some people do, it varies.
Yeah, I guess it depends what's up to be discussed as well. Like you said, like if there's a topic that's, hot topic under discussion, more people get involved. There might be a group of people or a certain percentage of people who don't get involved ever, and that's fine. I think to make decisions we have to have a certain number of people there. But yeah, it really can differ each meeting.
So if there was something like really tricky, some kind of pivot that the business would have to do, would the process be for that to be raised and discussed and workshopped through forums? How would that work?
Yeah, so Ash can correct me if I'm wrong, but we recently this last year had a few big things like that where we do have to have that as the main topic of conversation at the GM. But leading up to that, we'll run on-site and virtual consultations and forums by members council running them all the way leading up for every single, because we're a 24-hour business, we have to accommodate for all the shifts. So we'll have sometimes 2 consultations a day or forums a day, 2 weeks in advance. Sometimes it is a really big decision just to get moved of the membership before we even launch into the agenda of the GM. Yeah.
And then it's majority vote, is it?
Yeah. And another thing is, in between all this, there's always the chance, as well as the weekly forums, there's always the MSS, which allows members to put queries towards the members council, which then get publicised across the membership. So the membership will hear that, someone's raised an MSS saying that They don't like the fact that we don't have allocated parking spaces, and then members have the chance to then get back to the members' council and say, I'd like to put my name behind that as a member, and then we have it's built into our constitution that if 20 people then support that, this whatever time of year, whatever's going on, if 20 people then get back to the members' council saying I support this, the members' council then have to do consultations and put forward a mandate to the board, and then the board have to review that and then action it or not action it, and then it can go full circle until it's fully resolved in the best wishes of the membership.
And they can also raise like an emergency general meeting. So rather than waiting till the regular GMs or AGMs, the membership or MEMCO can call for an emergency meeting if it's, you know, a big issue that a lot of people have put their names to. There is like processes we have to follow in terms of that, of like, you know, the membership contacts MEMCO, they contact the board. It's like a lot of waiting for responses, but you know, it means that if there's something that the membership really aren't happy with, like their voices do get heard, and we can all get together and discuss it and make a decision as a whole. Or that's the idea of it anyway.
We're still learning.
Yeah.
What's the kind of thing that the members' council would discuss? I mean, other than people raising an OSS or what you called it.
I mean, there's multiple different things. So the members' council is split into different teams that deal with like different issues. So there'll be a team that are scrutinising the board. So we'll have a look over, like the board will have their meeting. We'll get the minutes from that, and then the team who scrutinise the board will look over that. Kind of, they're there to kind of keep an eye on what the board are doing and making sure they're working in the best interest of the membership. And then there's like another couple of groups who deal with like representing members, signposting members to the right place. So if someone was to contact and say like, oh, I'm not happy with this shift I'm doing, I want to change it, we would signpost them to the right person to deal with that. So it's not, a lot of it isn't always stuff that we can deal with. It's just pointing people in the right direction. And then also just dealing with like communication things, how we engage with the membership. You know, some people will just come to work and go home and that's it. They won't engage with anything. Some people don't have time to. If you work in the warehouse, there's not time to access a computer. So how do we make sure all the members are getting equal information in the best way? Like if you're a driver, you've not got time to always read a bit of paper that's in the canteen. So we kind of deal with things like that as well. So there's a few different groups. We always have an open forum in the morning once a week for anyone to come to. So that could raise a number of different things that could then, you know, be the conversation for the rest of the day. But in general, if there's nothing in particular, we will have a look at the emails that come in, try and answer any questions, signpost people, and scrutinise the board. So it really does.
You do that in a meeting?
Yeah, like multiple different meetings. So there's about 7 of us at the moment. So we'll all have like a one all together as MEMCO, and then we'll split off into the 4 different groups and have like our own individual meetings. And then once a month we'll have like a full day where we kind of go back over what we've been doing, what we need to do, any like MSS, anything that the membership brought to us, you know, have a look at the board minutes and their meetings and stuff, just kind of round it all up for the month and for the month ahead.
What's the age profile like at Suma? It's also the split between members and non-members.
I feel like, I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know the figures. I feel like there's obviously a lot of people who, member-wise, who have worked here since it began, or like since the 90s or whatever. So there was a lot of older people, but who are now, if a lot of people have retired recently or they're coming up to retirement, And like I said in the presentation, we've took on a lot of members from our pool of fixed term workers, and they are, I'd say generally, they are a lot younger. I'd say mainly because most of the fixed term workers work in the warehouse, which is obviously quite a physical job, and there is older people in the warehouse, they do a great job, but I'd say in general it's, you know, between kind of like 19 and 40 in like fixed term workers.
There's some outliers in there.
Yeah, there is, yeah. But
Yeah.
I think for fixed term workers it's a younger crowd.
We do attract some people that fixed term works for as well, like people who are taking a gap year around uni and stuff like that, where they're laughing when they're going back to studies, or they're going to travel the world or whatever with a very well lined pocket.
Yeah, well, it just works for some people. Some people don't want to commit to, you know, a permanent job, and they go off every 18 months doing whatever and come back. Like a lot of people have worked here for years and years and years, not as a member, just as, you know, rolling fixed term contracts, because that's what works for them. But yeah, I think the age of membership is slowly coming down as well, because we're recruiting more from the fixed term workers, which is good. I think it makes sense. Obviously we want members from outside, but I think when we've already got people in the business fixed term who we know do an amazing job and have absolutely worked their asses off. I mean, me and Buncey both were fixed term before we were members.
And is it a necessary step? Do you have to be fixed term before you can apply for membership?
Not anymore. It used to be the case.
Yeah, and I don't know, there is people who come in, who just come into roles, not particularly warehouse, like other roles, office-based roles and stuff, who come in straight away on membership for specific roles. I think a lot of people who come into the warehouse come in as fixed term first. So it really varies across the business. Like, yeah, sometimes we do have to recruit for specific roles, but then, you know, within the massive pool of fixed term workers, there's so much experience and so many varied skills, because a lot of people probably didn't work in a warehouse before they came here. And it's like, you know, for example, for me, coming from a graphic design background, I've just come to work in a warehouse, and then it's like, actually, I could help you out with that because I know loads about that, and I've done sales in the past, so now I do some sales. And it's like, I just think it really helps to utilize everyone's skills and not hold people into, you know, one little box of this is your job, where actually we've got a really rich pool of experience and skills throughout the business. And I think that's really being utilized now. A lot of people are moving into different roles to help out. Like if we've got really busy, we're like, oh, someone in the warehouse has got loads of skills doing that, like pop them in there. And, you know, it just makes the business work a lot smoother.
I heard that Suma's going through some pretty difficult times at the moment, and there have been some redundancies. I wonder, is there any kind of culture or narrative or guidance or anything about diverting people to other co-ops or helping people set up their own?
I'll be honest, from my understanding of the process so far, not really. I think it's such untrodden ground for us. I think we're still trying to just work around the fact that Suma, I know this is obviously the cost of the people we've already lost, you could argue rightfully, but I feel like we're still just trying to get through the process itself for our first time. So hopefully it'll never happen again. But yeah, you've got a very good point that if it was to happen again in the future, we need to make sure we're acting cooperatively from very start to very finish, not just while people are here, not just while we're operational.
I mean, to be fair, like a lot of the people who we've lost, like it was their decision, and they were, maybe a lot of them were like retirement age or had other things like I know a few people who have gone, were like, I'm actually going to move out of this area and go and buy a house and do it up and kind of like live the dream that I've been wanting to do. That obviously won't have been the case for everyone, but I mean, it's all confidential, so we don't know the ins and outs of it. But yeah, it's definitely a good point and something we're discussing as a business if that was to ever happen.
Yeah, because we do normally, whenever cooperative contacts we have do let us know. I'm thinking of
Leesborough Co-op.
yeah, that's exactly it. Leeds-based co-op. I can't think of right now. We obviously are always up for sharing vacancies where they're shared with us, with our workforce, particularly the fixed-term workers, where we're like, look, we're really sorry if your contract is going to come to an end soon. About this, how about moving into this part of the cooperative industry? But no, you're right. It's a bit of a mistrick on our part there.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking one of the criticisms that's often levelled at co-ops, not so much Suma because it's so enormous and has so many potential pathways through it, but often a criticism is that there's no career path and that people are like, well, I've done this thing for 10 years and there isn't really anywhere for me to go now. And that's especially true in equal pay and sort of collective style co-ops. And my answer to that is always, but there's loads of other co-ops, so you could like get a job in another co-op. And I wondered if that, you know, is potentially more of a thing in Suma. I mean, I guess it would need like a notice board or something like, hey, there's this co-op with its vacancies, you know, because there's so many, for example, creative and media co-ops out there. There's loads of them, and it's unclear to me how well known the rest of the co-op movement is to the membership of Suma.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of like people leaving and moving to different co-ops, and you know, you're saying like, oh, I've done this for 10 years and what do I do now? I think maybe that's, I don't know if it's less of an issue here or not, but I mean, because we are multi-skill,
yeah,
you know, some people don't want to, some people are happy doing like that role that they do, or like it's all just warehouse based. So if they left the warehouse, they would only want to do warehouse stuff and wouldn't really have the experience of anything else. But like with me, for example, it's what I do is quite broad now. So like I've got my like experience in design, like I now do sales at Suma. I've worked in the warehouse at Suma, so hopefully if I was to leave, like the experience that I would have from Suma alone would be broad enough for me to consider multiple other roles. Whereas like I never ever want to go back into the design industry, and like when I left that, it felt like such a massive punt to come to Suma because, you know, people don't know about co-ops. People thought I was stupid for leaving my career. Like I'd done an art degree, I've worked in artwork for years, and I quit my career at almost 30 to take a fixed term position for 18 months in a warehouse. And that seemed mental, but actually it's opened up my opportunities so much more because I will never go back into design. And when I left that business, like, well, what would I do now? Because that industry is all that I know, and I would literally be starting again. Whereas if I leave Suma for any reason now, like I could, you know, have a look at a job in sales, or I could have a look at a job driving or in warehouses, and there's always, hopefully there's always the opportunity at Suma to utilize your skills or learn new skills.
Yeah.
So if people want to do that, the opportunity should be there for them to do that.
Cool. Anything else, Mike?
Ooh, don't think so.
Suma, do you get paid time for union work?
I'll speak as a shop steward. So I'm a shop steward at our union branch here, the Bakers Union, and the short answer is technically yes. Any work we should officially be doing is paid. However, speaking honestly, the per budget for it is incredibly small. So you end up doing a lot of it in your own time at the fear of breaking the budget for more important matters that do need to be officially logged by the rota holder. That makes sense.
Which I feel like is the case for everyone in the business right now, like trying to, we've got dead busy trying to do all the work within the amount of time you've got and not like go over the budget and stuff. But as much as it's like me and Buncey probably just are about to work ourselves to death with all the things we're doing, but it's like again that it means that you get the right people. We should be getting paid for it.
Yeah.
But if things are tough or we've just got to get stuff done, it just means that you do get the right people doing the right things for the right reasons, like because they want to and because they care. But we should be getting paid for.
Yeah, but the principle of you put in more than you take out is always brought up. Not that anyone complains. Obviously, people like to be given a pat on the back, but if you ever do get a pat on the back, it often is followed by the premise that you should put in more than you take out. And we pay ourselves so well on salary. Yeah, you're not really coming out too short by putting in more than you take out. So
and really, it's only going to benefit us. The way I like to see it is like this is our business, and it's our lives and it's our people, and like by not doing it, we're cutting our noses off to spite our face. You know what I mean?
Do you think there should be? That's a leading question because I do think there should be money budget available for co-op work as much as there is for union work. So like co-op movement stuff.
Yeah, it's all my back, Ash.
Go on.
Absolutely, 100%. Sadly, we do have a budget. Suma has a budget for that kind of stuff, and I always am the person who says that budget isn't big enough, because sadly, obviously, that budget gets scrutinised just like any other budget would in a commercial business. So while we are held against principle to promote it, and we obviously want to support financially other cooperatives and other cooperative matters, yes, it could do with inflating massively. There's been a trend over the years of Suma paying ourselves well and also taking. We have a policy about what kind of bonuses we can pay ourselves each year.
We'll be finished in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Is that
Sorry, I've got a couple of minutes left.
Yeah, just generally, it's like we need to take a cooperative stance on it and look at paying ourselves a bit less and paying the cooperative world a bit more, in my opinion.
That would take a few forums, wouldn't it? To
yeah,
I'm
not hold my breath.
People need to cover themselves, don't they? And that's what a lot of people, especially in these economic times, a lot of people want to make sure that they're as well off as they can be to protect themselves.
Yeah, I mean, in future, hopefully when everything's not so mental, just one thing after another at the moment, and like hopefully in the future it's something that we can focus on again. Whereas I think everyone right now is just trying to keep their heads above water a little bit.
Yeah. Do you? I mean, obviously, it being equal pay and having loads of participation makes it sort of already removes some of the barriers to a sense of control and agency as a young person in a business. Are there any other aspects that you think that are interesting about being young in Suma, either positive or negative, or just interesting, as opposed to maybe being young somewhere else? Or
I feel like we're hopefully quite powerful, whereas you do have the people who've been here forever and they don't want to change so much, or they like how it used to be. But it's like, personally, like this is our business and we're the future of this business. And I think in another business, I know especially like in my artwork jobs, like the young people would get treated so poorly. Like we'd get paid next to nothing. We'd be doing the same job as someone else of a 50-year-old doing the same work, but because they were like older or just been there, like I get that they if you've been there forever and you get certain bonuses for that, but like one of the businesses I worked at literally hired like 17-year-olds and paid them like £3 an hour, like an apprentice wage, I guess. And they were doing the same job that I was getting paid 15 grand a year from, which still isn't enough, because it was the same job that people were getting 30 grand a year on. And it's, you know, there was nothing you could do about that, because you're young and you're grateful to, especially in the graphics industry, in the artwork industry, it's like people don't want to share the tricks. So it's the hardest to get into. So then when you're in it, they make you feel like you should be grateful that you're even here. Where it's like, where are the people doing all the work to pay you lot all the good wages? Like, so I think you feel really powerless. Whereas at Suma, I personally feel, maybe just because I'm quite driven, but I feel like we could change stuff. Like these older people are going to be here for way less time than we are. Like, not that they're all going to die, but like, you know, they might be retired in 5-10 years. And this is mine and Buncey's business, and all the young people's business. And like, let's do something now. Let's be proactive. And we do have a say in a business like this to change things. And that feels quite powerful to me.
Do you think there's any need or a gap maybe for some kind of youth organising, or is that just not relevant?
Within Suma, I don't know. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, within Suma particularly.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think there's a lot of young people who work here, and there's a lot of young people doing like a really good job. Like, it always blows my mind when we've got no one watching us, we've got no one telling us what to do, and like I look around the warehouse and there's, you know, a 19-year-old and like some 25-year-olds and like me, and we're all just doing it. No one's telling us to do it, and we're all just doing it. And I just think, because of the structure of the business, you know, and the trust that we all have, hopefully, for each other, it means that things get done.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, maybe there is a need for it, but it feels like it's being done already. Yeah. Hopefully, maybe I've just got an optimistic outlook on it all, so maybe not. But I feel like a lot of the people I'm surrounded by, and like people like Buncey, like young, like enthusiastic, you know, proactive people doing stuff. I personally think it's really inspiring and encouraging to see my peers doing such a sick job.
Cool. Cool. Well, thank you both very much. I'm really pleased to say we've recorded this one because it's been excellent. We're going to do another one 2 months, Buncey, is that right?
Really?
But yeah, so I guess if people have got questions who are watching this recording, can they get in touch with you directly?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Who do you want to go through?
Whatever. We can just put our emails down, or my email down, or whatever, if they want to email.
Yeah, absolutely. So this video is likely to go live on our the YCN's YouTube channel. So we could put our contact details in
Brilliant.
the description there.
Great. Well, thanks very much.
There.
Yeah, look under there. Awesome. Thanks, guys. I'll see you all next time. If anybody's interested in getting involved in the Young Corporates Network, helping organise these lunch and learns, or taking on jobs to like represent young people at more co-op movement events, that's our plan for the future. Get in touch. Take care. Bye.
Yeah.